Hello and welcome to another week in life vlog. So today is Monday 7th of June 2021. It's a week commencing that day. As ever, just a quick one on my fuel price. Yeah, it's both gone up this week sadly by a fair amount. Fuel is still just going up and up and up at the moment, which is never good. So the UK fuels has gone up to 104.96. The BWOC or block card, which is the one that uses the Key Fuels network, it's gone up to 103.48, which is a rise of about 1.3 pence over last week before VAT. So I should have said, yeah, the UK Fuels one I got is a Shell card through them, which is easier to use, but it is more expensive, so I rarely use it. Yeah, so the block card with the VAT is 124.18, so it's still a fair bit cheaper than what I'm seeing at the pump, because it's branded fuel and it's still cheaper than supermarket fuel that I've seen. Bit of a late start this morning. Yeah, about 10:30 I started looking for my first job. I had quite a busy, hectic weekend, so I wasn't too fussed about that, to be honest. Kind of part of the plan to have a bit of a late start on a Monday. Well, I see it, I'm away all week, so have a bit of a late start on a Monday to catch up on things. I have a bit of a lie-in, get ready for the week, then so be it. So started looking at 10:30, got my first job just after 11. Interesting thing this, because it's like a local-ish transport company to me. They're like Aldridge and Walsall Woodway to the north of Walsall. I must have quoted on dozens of their jobs in the past since I've been on the CX. I never got any, so got my first job with them. Went and collected, very straightforward, 2 pallets. There's another guy there going to the same place where he had 3 pallets. So we both got loaded pretty sharpish, had a bit of a chat with him. He did ask me what did I quote for the job, and I thought about this. It's always a bit dicey ground this, because I said to him I'd rather not say, because if he's getting more money for it, I think I'm being had done by. But I'd never really take it up with the shipper. But I always think if somebody asks you and you tell them and they found out you're on more money for the same job, particularly if it's like a fair bit more, then they might phone the shipper and say, hang on, the other guy's on this much, so I want the same. So I always just decline. But he just told me anyway what he was on. He said, I'm on 135 and I was on 120, but it was 120 miles loaded, and mine was down as a medium wheelbase job. I think his might have been a long wheelbase because he had one extra pallet. But anyway, 120 quid for 120 miles, and I was only 6 miles from home. I'm happy with that, even though it was going to London, but it was NW2, which is right at the bottom of the M1 where it joins the North Circular, sort of Edgware way. Got to a tip, he left before me. Got to a tip point, and it's one of these sort of safe storage type places, or self-storage, like for the public and also business. And he didn't have a forklift there, because the guy got there before me and he was handballing it off with this guy. Turns out the guy on the forklift had gone home at 2. These guys start at 6, they normally go at 2. It was like 2:30 when I got there. And there was some talk apparently the guy of rejecting the load, but we did unload it. Handball, rang the shipper. I asked the other guy, what are you going to charge for a handball for his 3 pallets? And he said 25, which I thought was a bit high, so I was going to say a tenner. So I thought, well, if he's going 25, I'll go in at 15. So I don't want to make him look expensive. Not I just wanted extra money, of course, honestly. But anyway, I went in at 15 and got it. So yeah, turned up to 135 for 124 miles all in. Moved up the road, because it's like typical London sort of business industrial estate kind of area. No parking everywhere and double yellows. And so I found somewhere else to park. It turned out to be like a 15-minute drive, even though I only did like a couple of miles, up towards Edgware. Parked up there for a while. It wasn't looking great. I'm getting another job. I was bidding on stuff, but I've been a bit fussy. I didn't want to go into middle of London from where I was, or have to go across London to get to stuff because it just takes forever. Bid on a few jobs, got one in the end that was actually a car job. So I always think cars are basically a small van job where the ship has been tight, but I bid anyway. It was up in sort of Watford way, WD25, was 7 miles from it. It was 58 miles loaded. So I went in at 58 quid a pound a mile, which with the loaded miles worked out about 85 pence a mile, which is the minimum I try and do on the job. Didn't call me back for quite a while, but I got the job. Turns out it's just picking up one small box, taking it to Lasham Airfield, which is sort of south of Basingstoke in Hampshire Hills, which is where I am now. So I thought I'd stop here and film. It's rather nice, lovely countryside around here, really quiet. Delivered to this Lasham Airfield. I actually tipped really close to here in the old van last year to some oil field, like a couple of miles from the airfield. And at this airfield there's a company there that refurbishes and services and stuff, like normal, jet planes. Well, there's quite a few EasyJets there, some Ryanair planes. Had a quick chat with a guy there in the stores. He says, yeah, it's, COVID is absolutely just it's made their business really quiet. And he's saying some of the EasyJet planes, they were on lease from Boeing, I presume, because he said they come here, they basically ended the lease early or as soon as they could, because they don't need them at the moment. And they come here to get all the EasyJet taken off and get resprayed, so they're just plain white. And then he said they'll probably get sent over to America, Nevada, wherever it is, and then they'll sit on an airfield in the desert until they're needed again. But anyway, he said that's about all they're doing at the moment, because obviously the servicing, there's not a lot of planes flying, so there's very little of that work. So yeah, I think, and he's saying to me, he thinks that kind of work's going to take a long time to pick up again. But anyway, that's the day so far. So any issue now is bang Basingstoke into Google Maps, because I'm kind of middle of nowhere, tiny little lanes. Basingstoke says 5 miles away, and then you hit directions, and the shortest route is 10 miles. That gives you a clue of, and that takes 25 minutes. So yeah, less than 30 mile an hour average, and it's double the crows flies direction. So it's just all Nadgery lanes. So yeah, I'm just gonna head to Basingstoke, get some chips, or something else, maybe Chinese, see what I find. But anyway, that's Monday so far. Right, Tuesday evening now, about 7:45. Bit of a slow day today, bit of a frustrating day really. Probably one of the slowest days I've had in a good while, apart from right off of a week in Norwich. But anyway, yeah, so actually woke up quite early-ish in Basingstoke, and there's a few jobs sort of coming up, but it's a bit of a strange place. Well, not really that strange, Basingstoke, but yeah, anyway, yeah, there was jobs coming up, and I thought I'd go in for an early one. It was about 8 o'clock. Normally I'm looking for my longer job first off, but I thought, I might try and get a short one in, and then go for the long one, because there's a few short jobs on there, no long jobs. So there's 2 jobs that coming out of Reading with the same shipper. One was going said 2 miles on the job, long wheelbase job, and the other one was going 15 miles or something. So I went in on the 2 mile one at 40 quid minimum charge, and I was 16 miles from it. So I thought, forget that, get over there, get it off quick smart. Bit of a early job, get some sort of runs on a board, if you will, early on. So I bid on it, and then a shipper phoned me up and says, oh, we've actually got 2, do you want to do both? And I was just kind of thinking, not really, but from there anyway, do both pickups. Yeah, and the job note said 800 kilograms for one and 40 for the other. And she says they had a 40 quid one, it's supposed to be, should have been listed as a small van, not long wheelbase. So I says, alright, I can do both for 60 quid. I immediately thought that's too cheap, or I should have asked for more. And she was like, yeah, okay, I'll send it through now. And I thought she'd like change the job, so it was one pickup with 2 deliveries, but no, she just sent me like 2 separate jobs. That's the ones that she'd already put in the system. So I thought, right, all right, whatever. Get myself to the pickup, some tile place. I say I'm here for collections for 2 addresses, and the guy goes, well, you'll be overweight. Oh yeah, no, I was like, I don't think so. If one's 800 and the other's 40, it should be fine. And going, well, it turns out the one that was put down as 40 was 1,040. It was a 1-ton pallet of tiling adhesive, powdered stuff in bags, 20 kilogram bags, and some loose items. Probably the loose items were 40 kilograms, and the pallet was a ton. So I was a bit like, and the other one was 400 kilograms, 20 kilogram bags of a different type of sealing adhesive going to another house. So I went and did the first one, but because I'd agreed 60 quid for the 2, she just put 30 quid on each job. Got to the tipping point for the first one. I was thinking, well, I'm not even sure I want to do the second one, but kind of got it booked in now. And it was like handball off this whole pallet with the guy there into the property to the back room, the house that's been renovated. So there for a good half hour. So I phoned a shipper. It's one of these shippers where it's really annoying when you got issues and you ring them up and you can't get through. So on like the 3rd occasion of attempt to try, and I got through and said, well, I couldn't take both jobs because the weight's totally wrong and there's too much weight for both go in a van at once. So basically, if I do the second one, it's going to be 2 separate jobs. So this is the 40 quid one. I said the one I was on initially, the short one, which wasn't 2 miles, it turned out to be more like 6 miles. Did that. Yeah, so I kind of doing that one, and then said, well, I priced this at 40 quid, and the other one was kind of an add-on, but it's not really an add-on now because it's a separate job if I'm going to do it. And it's handball, and each, I need 40 quid each minimum charge for both. And it kind of hummed and hawed a bit, and I was like, well, eventually gave it me, but I think they were just being a bit tight, really. The customer I turned up to did say, oh, they always do that. They always like try and group jobs together. They said before they had asked for 6 vans, and they sent in 1 van to collect them all, and it was like massively overweight. Obviously, never let him go like that, but like it would have been, yeah. So it's just shipper being daft, or maybe trying to pull a fast one. I don't know. Cut corners, get paid for 2 jobs, and do it as kind of like 1 job. Anyway, yeah, got that off. I eventually changed the job, went back, got the second one. Like I said, that was 20 kilogram bags. Private address again. Some new build that's just sort of been finished, really doing the finishing touches. This was the sort of tiling adhesive for the outside tiles and the fancy back garden. I forgot what the place is called, but I'll put it on the screen. Beautiful place right next to the Thames, and like a weir and a canal lock. So I got it tipped, took a while. I thought this one was going to be easier because there's less of it. Turns out the guy at the address, there wasn't any of the builders weren't there. It was just the elderly couple. So yeah, he couldn't really help me because he's retired and quite old. So I used his sack barrow in the end. Quite a posh guy, quite a nice guy, real posh guy. What he referred to as a porter's trolley, basically a sack barrow, so I grabbed that. But yeah, the gravel, newly laid sort of loose chip-in gravel drive, so I had to put 3 bags on and drag it across the chip-ins to the back garden. Several tips, I could only get 3 on each time because I didn't want to split the bags. And it was just turned into like one of them jobs, really, one of them mornings. But eventually got it tipped about 11. So it did take me about 3 hours in total from getting the job to finish, and it was 80 quid, so it's not terrible, really, with the extra 20 quid I obviously insisted on. And in terms of mileage, I only did 42 miles, including getting to the original collection, and it was 80 quid, so that was pretty good. But the problem was, it's now 11 o'clock. I was kind of a bit in the middle of nowhere in this place. Like, it's not far from Reading, but it's like half an hour from Reading, more than half an hour to Newbury. So sat around there, bid on a few jobs, got nowhere, had a bit of a look around the town. Just check this out, real nice views. Quack quack. Yeah, so I had a nice like 10-15 minute walk around. I thought it was too nice an opportunity not to look. Obviously I was looking for jobs as well at the same time, but it wasn't that far from the van where I parked up by this address. Beautiful little town, very picturesque, very posh around there. Very expensive, I'm sure. In the end I decided to move towards Newbury because it was slightly closer in Reading, and from Newbury I could get down the M4 to Reading, possibly Swindon at a push, and then down to Winchester, is it? I don't know. And possibly back to Basingstoke. So I thought I had a better catchment area there. And shortly after parking up just by where the A34 meets the M4, and Berkshire Showground, I think it was. I got a job pinged up. Shipper had done one job before from South Wales to London. And it was a small van job, but I got the impression from the job posting it's quite urgent, so I quoted it 85 pence a mile including getting there, and got it. I can't remember, it was, you know, a good rate for a short small van job. And it was the same as last time, but a different pickup. It was like and a different company pickup, sort of like surgery equipment and implements, you know, for operating surgeons' theatres in hospitals. So I picked them up, 4 boxes, real easy collection, and over to where am I now? Crowborough I am now, which is south of London, to some posh private hospital in the woods on top of a hill just outside this Crowborough, which is another kind of posh area. I've seen some lovely towns today, some real nice countryside today, beautiful A and B roads, but not great on the earnings front. So like 80 quid and 163 for the day, struggling a bit today. Yesterday wasn't great, but I did start late and go into London, so that's kind of my fault. This morning I regret taking that short jobs initially. I should have just got stuck to my guns, even though it's harder to get long jobs north. I should have just maybe gone in a bit cheap to get up north and get out of this area maybe. So I've not really played it very well so far this week, but it's only Tuesday. It isn't actually that busy. Last week was quite busy, I think, because it was a bank holiday week, so it's obviously condensed, like probably 5 days work into 4 days kind of thing. That happens. And I'll show you properly in the summary, but I've run the numbers first time in a while. I'll try and do it again this week just to confirm it or whatever, but it's gone back to being about on a par with what it was beginning of December last year, if not slightly below. And that's when it wasn't really very busy. It dropped off a lot from last summer when it was very low restrictions. So considering all the release of restrictions and stuff, and I was saying it's going to bounce back, yeah, I'd kind of hoped it would be sort of busier and sort of sustainably busier, but got a medal on. That's the only way really at the moment, and that's the end of Tuesday. Alright, Wednesday now, just before 6 p.m. Yeah, so I was in that place Crowborough last night. Tramped into Morrison's car park, bang in the middle of town, even though it's not that big a town, but it had a high street and stuff, reasonable high street, size high street, and I was literally parked right next to it, and there was no limited park or anything, so that was pretty good. Anyway, yeah, so this morning got my first job until just after 9. I got my first job, which isn't too bad really, because there were jobs before that, but 9's when it really picks up. I kind of realised I couldn't be too fussy down there, but I really didn't want to go into like central London or really stay away from London itself, because I just find there's too much competition. Yeah, in the end I got a job from, I can't remember where it was exactly. It was kind of like in the hills, this small town in an industrial estate. I'd like a 20-minute drive to get there. going through to Shoreham by Sea. Picked up some, I think they were bolts from an engineering supply kind of place, and took them to this company that manufactures outboard engines for boats, diesel outboards, which is quite a new company, quite an interesting company, or interesting to me because of my automotive engineering background. Like a good few months ago now, I actually picked up some of the engine blocks for this mob up in the north West Midlands, where the engine blocks are made in Worcester. I took some to get fettled, and then I took some different blocks back to the place I remember. So I actually went to have a bit of a look at the factory. Only a medium-sized unit, really, not that big a thing. I think they're quite a new company, so yeah, quite interesting to see that. Really nice place to perch then. Yeah, so that first job was like 45 quid. It was a small van job, and it worked out at over £1 a mile, all miles. So it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't a great job because it's a small job, short job. But it kind of got me towards Shoreham. Thought more likely to get something along that coast. You've got Shoreham, Worthing, Brighton. Yeah, so down there, had a bit of a wait, but it wasn't too bad place to perch. Have a look at this. Yeah, so just on the corner from where I tipped, which is right next to Brighton airfield, which is actually in Shoreham by Sea. So I had a bit of a mooch around the look at the airport and the planes landing, the helicopters. Looks like there's some people having helicopter lessons. They're like taking off and hovering and stuff rather than flying off. And I had a bit of a walk down the river. Really nice, beautiful day. The river was kind of strange. It looked like almost turquoise in colour. Like a bit of Broad, really, which is really hard to do at the moment. Go abroad, so yeah. Yeah, and a job pinged up when I was there. It was Shoreham by Sea, so it must have been like max 10 minutes from it to Tipton, the West Midlands. It's a long wheelbase van. Didn't say phone calls only, e-quotes only, so I rang them. Priced at 90p a mile, just loaded. Because I knew it'd be close to it. Didn't even look how far it was. So I said that came out at 165. Usual thing. Oh, okay, thanks. What's your number? We'll give you a ring back if you need it. And I thought that normally means you're not going to get it. And I checked when I went to go in the feed again. So I thought I'll bid online as well. So I got it online as well. Just like might improve my chances of getting a job. And it'd already gone. So I phoned them up, like literally checked my thing like 2 minutes after it was posted. It's gone. So I missed that one. Possibly I was too late. Maybe it just wasn't competitive. I don't know. But anyway, I do get jobs like that sometimes. You think, oh, why didn't I get that job? That would have been the perfect job for me. But yeah, you just can't dwell on it too much, because if you don't take knockbacks well, it's probably not the line of work for you doing this kind of work, because I get knocked back all the time. It's just part of the job. Yeah, and then later on I did get a job. It was a short wheelbase job from Littlehampton, which is a bit down the coast, up to Coventry, CV6, and I priced this one at 80p a mile straight through, because it was little, I was including the miles getting there, so it would have been over 80p a mile loaded. And I got it. Guy rang up, gave me it, went and collected. It's like a wooden crate, which is apparently full of toughened glass, 450 kilograms, and one small package. And then on the way up here, stopped on the M1, like totally stationary. They'd stopped traffic. So I text him, because it's one of these ones where they say text when you got goods on board, text when you got proof of when you delivered, which I normally do if it says that, even though you do it through the CX app anyway. So those seems a bit pointless to me. So I'd already texted him. So I texted him saying, "Oh, delayed, stationary traffic, ETA is now later," but obviously I didn't know how much later because the station traffic hadn't started moving again. And then he like texted me back saying, "How much later?" But it's like, I was just thinking, how am I going to know that? You know, just stationary, it depends how long. They keep the carriageway stationary, and they shut the other lane as well, so it didn't look good. But then very shortly after we started moving, so yeah, I texted him just as I saw the traffic was going before I got moving. I texted him, said going now and should be there like 5. Then on the way up the M1, phone goes, hands free of course, speaking to him, he says, yeah, they just heard from the customer the tip, the drop, which I think is the same company because it's like an intercompany transfer, shut at 3:30. He asked me, "Have you got a job on for the already booked in for the morning?" And I was like, "No, because I never do, or rarely do really." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you can deliver it there in the morning, but they're not open till 8:30. He says, "Just let me know the charge." And I says, "Well, I'll just work out the miles and charge you my sort of mileage rate." So I worked it out. It was an extra 26 miles home, 26 miles back in the morning. So 85 pence a mile, which is like my basic. I thought, well, I won't like take the piss out of him. It comes out as 45 quid. So I text him back saying it'll be an extra 45 quid. And then he texts me back saying I'll stick 100 quid on a job for you. So that's quite nice. I did think if I go in a bit low and don't take the piss, then they might offer a bit more. But I didn't really expect 100 quid. I haven't checked whether he's updated the job yet, but hopefully he has. If not, I'll send him a reminder saying before the morning or in the morning, can you please update? Before I shut it down, upload the invoice, upload the pod and do the invoice and stuff. So yeah, I'm at home now, so it's not too bad in the end, because them extra miles, and you get over £2 a mile for them. I'm going to tip at 8:30, which isn't too bad, and it's in Coventry. So Coventry's a really good place to get a job from, plenty of work from that area. Yes, that's kind of like got me back on track for the weeks I've been struggling. And I get to spend a night at home, so that is a Brucey bonus. Right, Thursday evening now, just before 7. I'm about 2 miles from home in supermarket car park. So yeah, this morning got that job off, really straightforward. Tipped at 8:30, parked outside, started looking for jobs. Got a job just after 9, so I was in Coventry, CV6. Job pinged up from Banbury. It was a job I recognised. It was with the shipper I haven't actually done any jobs for quite a few weeks. Strange how it works out. Sometimes you do loads of jobs for one shipper and then you have a gap and then you start doing loads for them. It's just strange really sometimes. Anyway, this job I recognised it was picking up in Banbury up to Bolton. And I thought, I'm pretty sure I've done that job for them before. And I kind of know Banbury's a bit of a funny place. It's quite a biggish, well I say big, it's not that big a town, but there's a fair bit there in terms of industrial estates and that. But there ain't going to be many drivers in that area. It's not like being in the middle of Birmingham or northwest sort of built up areas. It's like surrounded by countryside really. Yeah, so I thought for a good chance of getting it, so I went in at £1 a mile, loaded. So it was 142 miles, so 142 or 143 I think I went in. 143 miles. I quite a few miles to get there, so all miles it was only 80 pence a mile. But then I managed to go a slightly quicker way. It's just 7 miles quicker to get there, so 2 minutes longer time wise. So yeah, anyway, got that job down there, picked up, wasn't particularly straightforward. The transport manager, I think he was kind of knew I was coming, but apparently the company I was taking it to, they wanted it collected last night, but it couldn't be done for some reason. But anyway, official order hadn't been placed. So I had to sort of contact the shipper and then they contacted their customer. I sorted it out, so I was there for 50 minutes, just 3 pallets of packaging, cardboard boxes. Up to Bolton, went to a tip and they says, oh, you're at the wrong bakery. I was delivering to bakery. You need to go to the other one, 2 miles at the other side of town. So I went to the other one, and that was the one I got sent to is the one I delivered to before. Got tipped there. When I got the tip, the guy messaged me. He tried to phone me on the way up, but for some reason my hands free hadn't linked, so I couldn't speak to him on the phone. He'd messaged me saying, do I want another job from Bolton back to Dudley? I didn't know it was with the same company I was delivering to, but it turns out it was. And I says, yeah, I'll do it. £1 a mile, because it's only 92 miles or something. I think in that range, really, you need to be doing at least £1 a mile loaded, because maybe like longer jobs, 150, 200 miles, go a bit less. And he said, yeah, okay, as long as it includes any handball from the first, not handball, any waiting time from the first job. So I just says, yeah, sure. I don't know if he's expecting me to like go in cheap because he knows I live in the Midlands, thinking, oh, he's going to go, treat it as a backload. But for me, subby rate, they're all backload jobs on the CX. It's just a case of they're all subby rates kind of thing. I don't really think there's backloads really. Depends how you work, whether it's a backload. So yeah, they're just all subby jobs, all subby rate jobs, and really you see like backload, or you see people, shippers posting looking for someone going that way, thinking they're going to get it even cheaper than the normal subby rates, which I just don't go in for that. Occasionally, if I really want a job on a Friday because it's getting me home, I go in a bit cheaper. But yeah, kind of annoys me sometimes that some shippers kind of may expect like cheaper than normal rates when it's subby anyway. But anyway, yeah, so went delivered in the right place, back to the original baker. I went up there. Pain then was there was a truck in the way, so I had to wait for the truck to get loaded, big Arctic. There's another driver there on the same job as me. He was taking 2 pallets as well, so I had a bit of a chin wag with him, which was always nice. Got loaded, came down here. The only problem with Dudley is it's about 9 miles from my house. It's like 7 miles. Dudley's 7 miles with the tip, and the town kind of like 6-7 miles west of the M6. But getting there, particularly at rush hour, which is exactly when I hit it, is pretty slow going. So the last 6 miles took me 40 minutes. Anyway, I'm pretty much home now. So another night at home, which is pretty handy, home cooked meal and stuff. Last day Friday tomorrow, so it's a case of do I stay local so I don't do any dead miles to get home, or do I chance my arm and go further afield and then try and get back? Not doing great so far. I'm on target sort of with like 220 a day, 1100 a week. So I think I might need to make about 200 tomorrow to hit that target. Just off the top of my head. Anyway, so that is Thursday done. Right, yeah, Friday evening, just to round up, last up on the run update of the week. So yeah, a bit of a tough one again today. Kind of gone the same way as the rest of the week, really. Just like, yeah, just one of them days, one of them weeks. So actually got a job this morning 8:15. Started looking at 8, so I was quite happy with that. Quite an early-ish start for me. I was at home last night, obviously. But it was all the way in like southwest of Wolverhampton, a place called, I'll put it on the screen, Womborne. Womborne every minute, I always think, when I go there. Anyway, yeah, it popped up initially and I ignored it because it was short wheelbase and it's quite far from me and it's awkward to get to, where I am in Walsall. But then it popped up again and I thought, well, it's going to sort of the Wirral, which is a decent area. So I'll go in at £1 a mile loaded, even though it's short wheelbase. I might still get it because they might be struggling, because they'd reposted it. And even with the getting there miles, it works out 85p a mile, gets me going early-ish up there. Turned out to take more like 50-55 minutes to get to the place, and then I got there. Bit of a piss take, to be honest, this one at the collection. They got like partly loaded after 10 minutes, and then they said, oh, we'll have to, there's one more thing. They were looking for it and they found it, and then says, oh, it's actually more. Well, she said there's one more again, and they could see him looking for it in all these bins of, it was like duct work. Could see him looking for something in all these big cages and stuff. And then he comes back to me and says, oh, it's in our other place 100 yards down the road. So I went down there, eventually got something, and he goes, it's just your paperwork now. Okay. And then he comes over in a bit and he says, oh, actually there's one more piece. I was like, what again? I was kind of getting pissed off at this point, a bit fed up. So I'm going to ship it at that point. I'd been here like 40 minutes. I would have phoned them sooner, but they kept saying, oh, one more piece, we'll have it soon. One more piece, we'll have it soon. So I just thought, right, I'll phone the shipper. And he put an extra tenner on a job. And then quite a nice drive up from there, past Telford, through Shropshire into Cheshire, up to the Wirral. Pretty straightforward, but mainly A and B roads, but some nice roads. Got a tip. There was like a 5-minute tip. Some massive construction stroke engineering workshop. That was a really easy tip. Parked around a corner, had my lunch. It's a big industrial estate or industrial area. Took me a little while to get another job. I did bid on another one of these alcohol jobs out of Runcorn, WA7. The same ship. I did 3 of theirs last week, one day, when I was trying to keep it sort of within the local area. So this is long wheelbase again, 600 kilograms of alcohol, 17 miles loaded, and I was doing them last week for like 55. So I just bid 55, and I put on the notes includes the handball, because I knew it was alcohol. And the phone rings in a few minutes after and says, oh yeah, this one's only 17 miles, mate. Best we can do on that one's 35. I was just thinking, well, 35 for me, minimum charge for like short wheelbase used to be 40 quid, and I think it's pretty much the same in long wheelbase. Wouldn't do it like an easy long wheelbase job for 35 quid, let alone one that's got alcohol, heavy handball loading, heavy handball delivery, and quite often pubs are awkward places, aren't they? Not always, but quite often. And I just says, yeah, when he said 35, he says, yeah, I priced in handball because it's heavy handball, it's alcohol, and he's just like, oh yeah, I'll have to leave that one, mate. Fair enough. But then they did actually reject my quote because I got the red writing on the thing. But I've noticed a bit with this shipper, it's either alcohol, and they do a lot of like builders merchant stuff, and it's quite often handball and stuff, and they never mention it on the job. And I don't mind a bit of handball, but I think they're just being very not putting much details on the job because they know people won't bid for it, or they'll bid higher kind of thing, and then it's always a bit of a chore to get handball, get extra money out of them. So yeah, kind of gone off them a bit. And it wasn't particularly busy today up in the northwest, not like it has been recently. Anyway, got another job like maybe 20 minutes after that. Job pinned up from Bootle to like North Liverpool down to Derby. Long wheelbase job, 100 miles. So I priced at 85 pence a mile, all miles, because it was getting me closer to home. Which came out at 93 quid. So yeah, got that one. Easy drive through the tunnel, so 2 quid to tolls, £1.80. Picked it up, turned out to be 2 small boxes, like maybe 10 kilograms each. So I don't know why this was a long wheelbase job, but kept stum, Quite happy with that collection. So that was a 5-minute collection. Tip on this one was the other day I was in Derby. I mentioned about Rolls Royce being in Derby. I've never been there. Well, now I have. And I think the place I went to, it's something to do with nuclear, because there was like crazy big fences with barbed wire and really strict security. So I just gave it to the security in this place, and then they actually checked it. So you got to check it before I went in. Yeah, so that was quite interesting. But the tip for that one, the address was wrong, but I still got it tipped within half hour, so no big issue there. So that was about 5:30 then, tipping that, maybe 5:45. I thought I'll have a quick look at the feed before I drive home. Quite willing to drive home empty then and call it a day. But there was a job on there just being posted, long wheelbase from Bolton on Trent to Birmingham, B11. I thought that's kind of on my way home anyway, just a detour into Birmingham. So I bid on it 45 quid, it was like 32 miles loaded. Got it, and when it came through it was a pallet network, not one of the ones I've done before. Absolutely massive, two massive warehouses in Bolton on Trent. Got there, obviously pallet network places, like hub depots, are really busy this time of night because obviously they're all coming in the trucks and then getting reloaded to go back out to the transport companies. So yeah, it's pretty hectic there. Eventually found it. This guy in the forklift found it for us, and then I had to follow him into the warehouse. Massive, like just open plan warehouse. Just quite surprising inside. There's no shelving or anything. It was just open, and like lines of trailers in there, loads of room between them. Yeah, and it's quite interesting in the end. But the pallet was like a double pallet, really high. So, and it was going to get delivered to a private address. So the guy said to me, do you mind if we just break it down and leave the pallet here? Because it wasn't going to fit anyway, because it was like 2.8 metres tall, 2.2. So yeah, we just broke it down there, which saved me breaking it down at the customers and then having that awkward conversation about them keeping the pallet. So anyway, that was a day. So like, I think it was like 225 or something for the whole day, 12 hours. 3 jobs. So yeah, not really had any good days this week, but I'll go through that more in the summary. Right, weekly summary time. If you're wondering what this is, the car in front is a reflection off the grill, so I'm trying not to get blinded. But anyway, yeah, so full week on the run, Monday to Friday. I spent 2 nights in the van, the first 2 nights, Monday, Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, I actually managed to stay at home, so that was a bit of a result, really. Yeah, I didn't stay in any hotels. Tolls wise, I had one £2 toll or £1.80, the Mersey Tunnel. Yeah. So yeah, the Monday, 2 jobs, 135 and 58, which is 193 for the day. Tuesday, 2 jobs, 1883, so 163. And then Wednesday, 45 and 237 for my best day, which was £282. Thursday, 2 jobs, 143 and 92, which is 235 for the day. And Friday, 3 jobs, 87, 93 and 45, which is 225 for the Friday. So the total is 1,098 or £219.60 per day. Mileage wise, did 1,150 miles, so the overall pence per mile for all miles from like Monday morning to getting back on the Friday was 95.5 pence a mile. So that's really good pence per mile. Like I said, when I initially got this van, I was kind of thinking 85 pence a mile is the minimum I want to aim for. I seem to be quite easily meeting that, to be honest. Yeah, if I can keep it above 90 to 95, that's pretty good. So I won't go into all my costs and stuff, but basically off that week, so the money, the quote, what I've just said then for each day in the weekly total is what I've quoted on CX. So VAT would have gone on top of that. I get to keep 40% of the VAT, because I'm on the flat rate scheme, and then I can't claim that back on individual things apart from big things like the van. So once that's been added and then taking away my fixed costs, which are £20 a working day, so £100 for this full 5-day week, and then take away my variable cost, which is 30 pence a mile, basically works out as 740 left over. So that's like my pre-VAT earnings, not pre-VAT, what am I about, pre-tax earnings. So yeah, that's how I kind of work it. Obviously got income tax to come off that and national insurance because I'm a sole trader. Yeah, so basically a couple of things about this week. just like it was one of them weeks, because quite often you get like, you know, one of them days where nothing seems to go to plan. Hiding from this reflection. Today seems to be just one of them weeks where I had quite a few one of them days, you know, like slow collections, slow tips. That job I had on the Tuesday night, or was it Wednesday night? I can't remember. Yeah, the Wednesday night job, which couldn't tip, so I had to go back there in the morning, but actually worked out well in the end because the shipper was so generous, gave me 100 quid. So yeah, without that I would have struggled this week to meet my target, which at the moment I'm trying to do like 220 a day, 1100 quid. So I've worked out if I can do 1100 quid average a week, I keep it at least 85 pence a mile, which I seem to be doing quite easily at the moment. That's like £700 pre-tax, pre-deductions. Wage, which I'm kind of happy with, so if I can average that over the year, I'd hope to get it a bit higher, but if I can at least do that sort of as things kind of open up now and get closer to normal. So yeah, it was just one of them weeks. And the other thing I want to ask, as ever, anything you've seen in this video, any comments, please put them below for my benefit and everyone else's. I'll try and respond to them, and if anyone else looks, you know, it's good for them as well. One thing I do want to ask this week, I've asked this before a long time ago, and a few people commented then, and somebody came up with like a pricing structure of how do you price alcohol jobs, because it is heavy handball, so it should be a bit extra. I remember somebody said it's like normal, and then you add so much per kilogram, typical. So if anyone knows that, or forget who it was a while ago, if you wouldn't mind reminding me about that, it'll be handy, because these ones I've been doing in Northwest ones, I think they're just trying to get them off at absolute basic rates, like basic normal job rates. And I noticed a lot with this shipper, a lot of their work's either that or builders merchant stuff, like local stuff. And I think they're possibly struggling to get them covered, because people soon learn, you know, what the job is. And I always find in general shippers, they try and push on price more on shorter jobs, because I think the way shippers price a lot of the time with customers is pence per mile and the minimum charge, and it's just not enough at the lower end. At the longer jobs, I think they've got enough money on the job to get it sold pretty quick without like trying to hammer down the rates. But I think like the short to medium jobs, I think quite often shippers don't take into account. On the short and medium jobs, it's more down to time and miles. Yeah, so that's just my take on it. Anyway, I don't think maybe they charge enough for that. But anyway, that's up to them and their business, isn't it? So yeah, that's it for the week. Like I say, any comments, please put them below, and thanks for watching.